To me, Bambi Meets Godzilla was always the weird little short in the Godzilla 1985 VHS that jump scared the shimo out of me when I was a wee lad. But it's actually so much more. Created in 1969 by Marv Newland as a final college project, Bambi Meets Godzilla was actually a film adaptation of a verbal gag Marv had come up with about the world's shortest film soundtrack, which consisted of Bambi's squeal followed by Godzilla's roar and a heavily implied squishing. Needing to get to 90 seconds to be classified as a film, the short consists of Bambi grazing leisurely while classical music plays and credits scroll that acknowledge every roll going to Marv. The tranquil scene is interrupted by the smashing of Godzilla's foot to a slowed down piano hit from A Day in the Life by the Beatles, and causing a very young me at the time to experience one of my very first jump scares. The short was broadcast on local Los Angeles television and gained instant popularity, but truly became ingrained in pop culture when it played in theaters as part of various animation compilations. The short became so popular that Marv was able to capitalize on its success, and he opened his own production studio. Oh, and Terry Gilliam from Monty Python confirmed that the Monty Python stomp gag was inspired by Bambi Meets Godzilla. Overall, I'd say not bad for a cartoon that's only slightly longer than this short. Well, till next time. Godzilla Tokyo Clash, the board game, has been sitting unused in my house for years, just collecting Kamunga webs until I finally had the chance to play it recently with two friends. But before I get into the gameplay, I gotta hype up the figures that come with it. You get a very nicely sculpted set of figures that include Godzilla, Megalon, Mothra, and King Ghidorah. They're all highlighted with a dark dry wash that really brings out the details. These little figures are great, and they kind of reminded me of something you would see carved out of those stones you find at the beach that are then sold for too much money at every shop in a small seaside town. But I digress. The game is fairly easy to pick up and basically boils down to smashing and throwing buildings, trains, tanks, and your opponent to have the highest score before the Oxygen Destroyer timer catches up to you in the game flow tracker. You gain energy by smashing objects, and then you use that energy to play cards that play to your character's strengths. Godzilla is brute force mixed with solid defense. King Ghidorah is brutier force mixed with overpowered attacks that uses 3 heads. Megalon is a speedy combo linking pain in the ass, and Mothra is a different story altogether. Mothra is an ally to humanity who absorbs energy from the remaining buildings and isn't targeted by the military. This allows you to get Mothra's energy maxed out pretty regularly and overwhelm your opponents with her varied attacks. The round that I used Mothra, I basically felt like I broke the game and felt like I was using Oddjob and GoldenEye. If you know, you know. But yeah, it's a very fun game and it's very satisfying tossing your opponents into buildings and sometimes each other. I also like that it's a game where no player is ever eliminated and you all play to the end, and each game only takes about 45 minutes. Now, it's a bummer this game never received an official expansion, but there are communities out there making those on Board Game Geek and Facebook. They even went deep enough down the rabbit hole to find an unofficial Pacific Rim single-player variant. Wish me luck with that. Well, till next time. Well, after 4 years, the most unique, we'll say, of Toho's Triple Crown of mobile games, Run Godzilla, has unfortunately come to an end. Developed by the extremely small team at King Mo Studios, Run Godzilla saw you raise and train a randomly generated and wildly colored Godzilla, Rodan, King Ghidorah, and Mothra to compete in races, which in itself isn't that weird, as we've already got console games that feature Godzilla and friends playing soccer, baseball, and whatnot. What makes Run Godzilla so strange is that your kaiju is worshipped like a god by an eclectic group of worshippers who feed your kaiju apples and meat, all the while a modern-looking factory generates currency and smog. And there's a train that has a Jet Jaguar head. The random smashing of styles mixed with spiritual undertones and capped off by a surreal cutscene when it comes time to, say goodbye to your kaiju, I guess, can feel more like a fever dream than a game at times. I reached out to King Mo after they announced the end of the service date to see if they could shed some light on the creative process behind Run Godzilla. King Mo told me that I had to go through Toho first, but Toho decided that our simple minds just simply could not comprehend such cosmic concepts and didn't respond to my requests. Admittedly, I mostly ignored Run Godzilla, opening it every once in a while and treating it like a curious oddity more than anything. But as I spent more time with it making this video, I found myself getting attached to my kaiju and bummed when it became time to say goodbye. Plus, the random worshippers that the game generated gave me the occasional chuckle. But now it's time to say goodbye to Run Godzilla, and as you head off into your retirement, we'll always remember what you taught us, that the sun will rise and rise again.
All right, so this one's gonna be like, which kaiju or I guess kind of like Godzilla tokusatsu character, do you think is the most underused or needs more figures, needs a little more love? Who is it?
Gabra. Gabra 100%.
No. No, I'm just kidding. No.
And not
Um,
only do I want, you can counterpoint in a second, but not only do I want more Gabra figures, I want him to come with like a spring-loaded punching arm, so I
oh
can
my God.
constantly put him next to Manila figures and have him just punch them in the
No.
face
Oh
over
my
and over
God.
again. It would, oh, it'd be figure of the year every year,
How about
in
like
my
a
book.
rock'em sock'em like robot, kind of like with his
Oh my
face
God,
just
that's perfect. Yes,
just coming
I
on
want the most lopsided Rock'em Sock'em set of all time. I want it to be Gabra versus Manila, and spoilers, Gabra always wins. One thing I will always kind of side with, I think the majority of people on this is that the Gamera series having a bunch of Kennys, right?
Kenny? Yeah,
Like
Kenny.
they are annoying. Ichiro, like I mean, like I was actually taken aback by how I don't know how old the kid actually was when he was in the movie, but like
Yeah.
I feel like he did a very mature job, being a kid who's on his own for the most
Yeah.
part, kind of being raised independently, showing fluctuations of he has moments where he comes off very mature, but then he's coming off very immature in other scenes because again, kind of lacking um,
He
much
seems
in the way of
genuine.
structure. Yes, yeah.
Yeah, he seems plucky when he's by himself, but like in the beginning, he's very afraid when confronted with the bullies, as kids are. But like when he's talking to the neighbor adult, he's maybe not the nicest kid, but he's a kid. He's just off in his own world. Oh, you've made a computer? That kind of sucks. I'd rather take me to Monsterland.
It's not often that you hear 1964's Mothra vs. Godzilla referred to as Godzilla vs. the Thing these days, but personally, I'm quite nostalgic for the old title. This is one of the first Godzilla movies I saw playing routinely on TV when I was a kid, and it became an instant favorite of mine. In fact, for a long time, Godzilla vs. the Thing was my favorite Godzilla movie. I mean, it's still one of my favorites, but that top spot can change with the season these days. So why the Thing? Well, there's been several stories floated out there, but I think it's really just as simple as that American International Pictures sold their horror and B movies with eccentric marketing, and they probably figured the Thing would resonate with the teenager demographic they were so famous for capturing. You know what? That works for me. The breathtaking posters by classic poster artist Reynold Brown depict a weird stylized Godzilla grappling with giant question marks or billboard signs claiming to be censoring the horrific Thing. This all creates a B-movie, drive-in theater, campy vibe that I personally just can't get enough of. And if that weren't enough, AIP allegedly used to encourage theaters to place signs stating Godzilla fought the Thing here, around construction sites, damaged cars, and torn down buildings. Now, while the original US title is becoming less and less used, I'll still keep a candle burning for it. Sure, it's campy, and it does feel a little mean to call Mothra, who is universally considered to be the most dazzling kaiju, the Thing, but it really hits me in the nostalgia feels and takes me back to a simpler time when I still thought King Kong vs. Godzilla had two endings. Oh, the memories. Well, till next time. Did you know that 1986's adaptation of Little Shop of Horrors originally had its own giant monster-like ending? Well, it's true. No foolin'. Honest. So, hold on to your Outback bloomin' onions and let's discuss as Echoeen kicks off. The deleted ending saw Audrey 2 eat Seymour and Audrey 1, and then it and its spawn grow kaiju sized, and they conquer the world in a visually impressive and surprisingly dark 20-minute sequence that was more in line with the stage show ending of Little Shop of Horrors. Director Frank Oz described the test audience screenings as a disaster, noting that the test audiences were taken aback by the demise of the two main leads. Oz explained that the audiences loved the film until this twist, but then the negative reaction was palpable. In his own words, Oz explained that you need to have a 55% recommend rating to really be released, and we got a 13. Yowza. So, how much did this elaborate ending cost, you ask? Well, a whopping $5 million. Fortunately, after decades of believing to be partially lost outside of some low-quality work print footage, the ending has been fully restored and is readily available. Is it the better ending? Well, that's up to you, but I think it's a pretty fun novelty and you can enjoy it as its own standalone thing. And hey, the reshot ending gave us a Jim Belushi cameo, so that's pretty neat. Well, till next time. Echoeen rolls on with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles donning their best kaiju costumes for Halloween, all thanks to Playmates. Well, okay, I know that's not what's really going on, but I got a theme going on here, so hang with me. Anyway, Leo, Ralph, and Mikey are cosplaying as Godzilla, Rodan, and King Ghidorah in yet another crossover that little me would have never thought possible in the 90s. First up, King Mikey Dora. In true King Ghidorah fashion, Mikey is a giant shelf hog as he sports twin unarticulated tails and giant wings. Mikey is probably the most visually striking of the trio, and he has these cool neon nunchucks. Alternatively, you can unclip the KG heads from his shoulders and put those in his hands to simulate having 3 heads, but I didn't do this because this is still Playmates we're talking about, and everything fits a little on the loose side. Now everybody knows that Rodan is cool but rude, so why shouldn't he be Raphael? I think a lot of people have this figure pegged as the bland one, as he has less going on than Mikey and Leo, but personally, he might low-key be my favorite. I think the mashup isn't that over the top, and I think it looks good how they combine them together, and I like how the wings are attached to his body and they are bendy rather than clip-on ones like Mikey has. Now Leo is mashed up with Godzilla and looks great, with dorsal plates running down his shell and tail. Leo benefits from being free of wings and shoulder accessories, and gets a wide range of articulation to swing his atomic breath swords, which is a sentence I can't believe I just said. Now the box has that classic Playmates TMNT style artwork which depicts our mutated heroes and the yet-to-be-released Donatello as Jet Jaguar. One cool note, the box references the Hanna-Barbera Godzilla theme song, and it even says this mashup is meant to combine that classic TMNT cartoon with the nostalgic styling of the Hanna-Barbera cartoon. Good on you, Playmates. Fine work. Till next time. But then Solomon comes along. Your thoughts on Solomon?
He's the bestest boy.
Okay.
I think he's adorable. I know he's all deep and demonic, but I don't know. Something about Solomon, I get good vibes from him.
Still the best since 1973, according to the one few unexplained things in this creepypasta.
That's right. I forgot about that. Interesting. Maybe he's the spirit of another person who played?
Maybe he's Milwaukee's best. Like, what is that? Miller Lite, Coors Light, whatever. But Zuki, your thoughts on Solomon?
I think Solomon looks like a Mothman. So
He does.
Yeah.
You're right.
he looks like a Mothman Kaiju. Like, that design is just freaking cool. It's nice. It's awesome. That's what I think about Solomon.
So Gamera just turned 60, so I thought it'd be fun to wax a little poetic about my history with the other big G. So when I first became a Kaiju fan as a wee one in the early 90s, I initially knew Gamera as the other giant monster that was on Mystery Science Theater 3000. And, as I mentioned before on this channel, that was one of my favorite shows of all time, and those are some of my favorite episodes of all time. Heck, I even still have my VHS tape from one of the MST3K Gamera marathons they did back then. But then a funny thing happened. The Heisei trilogy got underway, and suddenly the whole world was proclaiming that Godzilla was now second fiddle to the turtle who was previously known for having movies filled with annoying kids, and 12-year-old me just couldn't stand these attacks on my new hero Godzilla. Even though, I also secretly knew the trilogy was fantastic. But in my defense, I was a little kid, and in the 90s we pit everything against each other. Sega versus Nintendo, Mountain Dew versus Surge, Brenda versus Kelly, Zima versus literally any other consumable liquid. You get the idea. But all that's in the past now, and of course Gamera ranks high among my all-time favorite kaiju, and among turtles in general. From the quirky Showa era to the legendary 90s trilogy, to the underrated and overlooked Gamera the Brave, and of course the glorious Rebirth anime, Gamera has rarely missed in his career. Now, I've always personally viewed Gamera as Godzilla's true top film rival, and it's the crossover we're all waiting to see happen on screen. We've gotten teases in the past, like a mostly lost 70s stage show, magazine mock-ups, video games like City Shrouded in Shadow, and of course Godzilla Battle Line. So are we inching closer to a true crossover? That's hard to say. But what isn't hard to say is happy birthday, Gamera, and like the song says, I think you're really neat. And filled with turtle meat. Till next time. Let's do a little suit actor spotlight here and have a little chat about Toru Kawaii's depiction of Godzilla in Tower of Mechagodzilla. But for some quick background, Toru was a prolific suit actor in the 60s and 70s where he played a whole slew of kaiju on Ultraman Ace, Taro, and Leo. He also shared the role of Godzilla on Zone Fighter with Isao Zushi, who coincidentally played Godzilla in Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla. And, according to the English credits of Gamera Super Monster, he apparently worked some of the wires for the Gamera prop. So, I think that kinda counts as playing Gamera. Maybe. I guess. Having played so many Ultra Kaiju, Toro brings that more fast-paced brawling style that was common on TV to Godzilla movies. Toro's Godzilla carries himself like a grizzled fighter, he's paid a lot of dues, and he demands respect. And he's also a scrappy fighter, throwing hands and headbutts and tossing Titanosaurus like a sack of potatoes multiple times. Now, any fan of pro wrestling knows how important it is for the babyface to sell a beating, and Toru did a fantastic job on that front as well. When I was a wee lad and saw this movie for the first time, Toru sold that brutal beatdown from Mecha G and Titanosaurus so well that I truly wasn't sure he was going to make it. And he got lit on fire at one point. Also, quick shout out to Titanosaurus suit actor Tatsumi Nikamoto, who will definitely get his own video one day. He and Toru carry most of the climactic fight, and together they put together a fantastic brawl that finds the sweet spot between the fast-paced TV style and the methodical pacing of Showa Godzilla films. So, good work, y'all. Until next time. There's a demon out there in the water, which, again, doesn't, really make sense, because this giant turtle has apparently been sinking things for centuries, although we just saw them with the turtle coming out of an egg at the beginning of the movie, and apparently Jenny, when her boat was being attacked hundreds of years ago,
asked to be
apparently
saved.
prayed to the turtle to save her, and now she's like the Silver Surfer to the turtle's Galactus now.
Yeah,
it's very strange movie the more we talk through it.
The first time I watched it, I thought she was asking to give her life for the people in the boat. That's not what she does. It's less selfless than that. The second time I watched, she's asking to be saved. She doesn't care about the other people. She'll do anything, so she lives forever. She doesn't care about those people. So she falls into the water, and that's, like you said, maybe she's the Silver Surfer, or just a herald for the turtle. But yeah, we find out she's not really a cool lady. She's just kind of selfish, but I don't know. If I was in the situation, who knows?
Because we hear from the chef, she says that she appears before men who are about to drown.
Yeah, that's what she says later. One of the quotes I got, the selfish lady, she prayed to be saved, but her prayers were redirected to the one below. So it sounded like she was trying to pray to a god or her god or whatever, and the turtle was closer, and thus got the prayer, and was like, I'll take this one. Ain't nothing but a G thing.
I'll take this one. Once upon a time, Pluto was still a planet and Gary Sharon was in Van Halen, and we used to have to browse TV Guide for the off chance that we would find a listing for a Godzilla movie. Well, I got a little nostalgic these times, and I decided to visit the old archive, we'll say, and see what I could find. I should note, all of these clippings are from the 70s to the early 90s. Kicking things off with Godzilla vs. Monster Zero, poor King Ghidorah doesn't even get mentioned, and it only got 1 star. Meanwhile, The Sandlot, which is a damn fine movie, don't get me wrong, gets 2 stars. What's going on here, TV Guide? Now, Godzilla vs. Biollante, which I don't ever remember seeing on TV, got 2 stars, which means it's just as good as The Sandlot, but it's not quite Grease. The Gigantus the Fire Monster version of Godzilla Raids Again is also a Sandlot caliber movie, according to TV Guide. Now, would you rather watch Bob Costas or Godzilla vs. Megalon, where the world hangs in the balance and Godzilla battles a mysterious clawed creature? Sorry, Bobby, Jet Jaguar wins this round. Every TV guide I found from 1980 seemed to just have listings for the Hanna-Barbera Godzilla cartoon paired with the Harlem Globetrotters cartoon. I wasn't born yet, but that would have been my favorite hour of TV for sure. But then I found this article from the 90s talking about the Green Ranger becoming the White Ranger, and Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad is catching strays for being quote-unquote super bad. Aw, I just love that show. I found this interesting listing for Godzilla's Revenge from 1976, which praises the top-notch special effects, and then proceeds to list the release year and the cast for Son of Godzilla. But hey, that's okay. Now there's no star rating here, but any movie where Manila gets punched in the face is easily twice as good as The Sandlot in my book. Instant 5 stars. Well, this was fun, and I would like to do another one of these sometime. So, till then.